obviously illuminating. And thank you for this hearing.
I am now going to exercise my privilege as chair to ask one last question. Just briefly, I want to follow up Mr. Powell. Just on that same topic with regard to the Philippines, Senator Coons and I introduced the resolution celebrating the 74th anniversary of our defense treaty with the Philippines. But what are some, I'll give you an opportunity to just talk about what are some of the concrete steps we can do to be able to help shore up that relationship with the Philippines and help build their confidence and resilience against these, these behaviors from China that are aggressive, coercive, illegal, and deceptive?
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for that question. The Philippines, of course, is extremely dear to my heart. Not only have I been married to the Philippines for 35 years, I also have spent a lot of time in the Philippines working with the Philippine government and others there. So I think one of the things, back to the fact that the Philippines is a democracy, and remembering that letting not just the Philippine government, but the Philippine people know that America is behind them is really important. So I commend you for the resolution. I think those kinds of statements are extraordinarily important in the overall campaign to reinforce the U.S. commitment to the Philippines. I can't tell you how many times I was asked about the Mutual Defense Treaty since early 2023, every time there was a ramming or a water cannoning or all kinds of things. And so there's a lot of concern there that they might be abandoned. And as a democracy, it's important to note that there is a great deal of political warfare in the Philippines, that there are groups, and I mean, there was recently a large, lavish reception at a hotel, a swanky hotel in Manila, in which basically a Philippine Council for the Reunification of Taiwan assembled the Chinese ambassador and a host of Philippine groups with to promote Philippine-Chinese friendship, some of which receive money directly from China, some of which are supported by United Front organizations, many very powerful business and other kinds of civic leaders. So they are in the game very much. So anything that helps strengthen the U.S. message that the U.S. is committed, because China knows about elections. It knows that prior to this administration in the Philippines, there was an administration that was much friendlier to it, and there could be in the future. And they want to pave the way for that future because they believe that a lot more of the fruit will fall from the tree if they have a friendly administration. So one specific recommendation that might even make Dr. Ratner, who used to be in the Pentagon and would have received briefings from his people on this idea, squirm a little bit, but I have actually recommended that people should go and visit the civilian population at T2 Island in the Spratly Archipelago. I've studied the South China Sea for decades, and I can tell you that we have, as the United States, avoided that because we have not wanted to sort of throw in our lot with any one claim on the fear that we'd have to sort of try to then be forced to adjudicate all claims. But there is a civilian population at T2 Island. There is a runway, you can easily get there by aircraft, and it would be a tremendous show of support for a population that wakes up every morning and sees dozens of Coast Guard and maritime militia ships, not just on the horizon, but right there just a couple of nautical miles away from their shores, reminding them that China believes they own that island and is coming for it eventually. So because China is pressing that claim, I believe it would be very helpful for the United States not only to conduct medical civic action programs out there, bring out some military doctors and engineers, work alongside our Philippine friends, and frankly, U.S. senators should go out there and visit and remind them that we stand shoulder to shoulder in a very, very real way. So thank you again, sir.
Senator, could I respond to that very quickly?
Yeah,
Mr. Powell invoked my name. He'll be happy to see in my written testimony that the last concrete recommendation that I have is that the United States actually revisit its position of not taking a position on the sovereignty disputes in the South China Sea, because our neutrality has been existing in the context of complete PRC violation of international law. We ought to do it carefully, but I think there are models like the way that we approach the Senkaku Islands, where we recognize Japanese administration without taking a position on sovereignty. We could do something similar in the South China Sea that would open up exactly the kind of cooperation that Mr. Powell is talking about. So we ought to think about how can we support our allies and partners in the defense of their own contested features, and we would need a change in our overall position on the sovereignty disputes to do that. So that's something we ought to take a careful look at.
Great, thank you very much. Well, I want to thank all of our witnesses today for a really great conversation we had about what further we need to do to oppose the Communist China's ICAT activities in the Indo-Pacific. Really, really valuable. I appreciate everybody's contribution and all your service to our great nation. And with that, the hearing is over.